Hello everybody and welcome to episode 2 of Let's Process Your Image, where you send one of your raw files and edited versions through to us and we basically give it a bit of a different take and edit the image from our perspective, and then we can sort of compare notes and see if we're on the same page or if we see the image totally different. In this episode, Stefan sent through his image of a male lion that he photographed, and he edited the version in black and white, but he also photographed the image in Jpeg. And it's a question we get asked a lot on Safari is, can you still process your Jpeg images? And the short answer to this is yes, you can, but you have to understand that you're not going to have as much information in those files as you would in a raw image, for example. Now, let's get straight into the image that Stefan sent through and have a look at what we want to do. So that is the unedited version that Stefan sent through. And as I mentioned, he processed this in black and white, which is the same that we're going to do in this particular case. So we'll hit V, and V will immediately bring it into black and white. You see though, it's a very, very flat black and white image. It's you see all these whites and the blacks are more sort of a grayish color. So we want to make this pure white and also this pure blacks. So to start off, I'm going to crop this image first and just get rid of that bit of grass that might be a distraction for the viewers. So maybe around about there to start off with, and lift it up to about there. I think that's good for now. So now I can start processing this image, and what I want to start with is firstly, like as I mentioned, these pure whites and pure blacks. I'm just going to drag this and still have a look with my histogram. I've got quite a bit to play with, and we run about there for the whites, and then again same thing with the blacks. We're just going to bring that down there. Okay, so already a little bit more contrast, and now my pure whites and pure blacks are perfectly exposed. Okay, we're just gonna, next thing I want to go to this dehaze, and you'll see that will just give it a bit of a punch. Just create a little bit more contrast, something like that. And then I also want to lift just overall clarity in this as well. Okay, then next thing I'll go through is the tone curve, and again working on these lights and the darks just to create a bit of contrast in the lion's face. I'm going to lift these lights up a bit. There, that looks good, and then same thing with the blacks. About there. All right, now once I've done with that, you'll see in your editing panel over here, there's a black and white panel, and even though this image is black and white, there are still colors there that you can work with. And quite a cool tool to use is if you click over here, have a look now what happens on the right hand panels here when I move the mouse across the frame. You can see that main, that's affecting the yellow and the orange areas, and if I go to the darker side here, that's going to affect my my purples and blues. All right, so that gives you quite a good idea of, if you play with these panels, what areas it's going to affect. So just from a quick glance, it looks like oranges and yellows are going to be most affected. Let's have a look. So see when I pull these oranges, see what happens. It only affects those the orange colors that are left in the frame. Okay, so we're going to go around about there, and then also just with these yellows up a little bit as well. Okay, and then these darks, I think we said the blues and purples. We want to make those darks a little bit darker, and also same thing with the purples. All right, there we go. That looks good for now. Next thing, I wouldn't worry about split toning. I'm going to go straight into detail, and that's going to be sharpening the image up a bit. Now, if you shoot in Jpeg, your camera does some edits in camera for you already. So it might sort of, if you're shooting in color, it might lift the saturation and vibrance a little bit. And if you're shooting in black and white, then it might just sharpen it up and create a bit of contrast. So we're still going to sharpen this up just a touch. Let's just mask this. Mask this till about there. That looks good. And then we're going to be quite aggressive with this sharpening. Take it up to about 43 or so. All right. Okay, that looks good. And then another thing that I want to try and do is these sort of lighter areas, especially around the grass, we want to try and darken that a bit, just to put your viewer's eyes more on the lion's face here. We're just going to add a bit of a vignette. With your mount, be very subtle. You don't want to make it too obvious. So with the vignette, I'd say probably on about maybe -8. And then your midpoint, you can be a little bit more aggressive. Okay, that looks good. So just to have a quick look, that's without the vignette, and then that's with the vignette. So it might seem like a subtle change, but it does make a big difference. It does sort of draw your viewer's eyes a lot more on the face. Go a little bit more here. There we go. All right, so now my overall adjustments have been made. I now want to get it into just localized areas. So just sort of small parts. I want to lift these whites out a bit, and then also bring these blacks, make them a bit darker. So let's have a look. We're going to start off with these the light areas of the mane. So remember, press O to see where you're brushing, and then O to get rid of it again. So I'm going to lift these whites up quite a bit. And then we're just going to brush everywhere just to make these pure whites. Okay. See how it's starting to stand out a bit more already. Okay. There. Just go all the way around all the white areas, just so we don't have that sort of dirty grey color almost. We have pure whites. Okay, and we're going to do a new brush, and also just around the face. Just bring those, not as aggressive, but just these white areas, just to bring some of those whites out as well. Alright, that's looking good. And now we want to get a new brush, and we're now going to do the darker areas. So the dark sides of the mane here. We're just going to bring that. Remember, we want to make this pure black. Just creates nice contrast in your image as well. Okay, and then again, same thing. We're going to do the face as well, but not as aggressive. Maybe around about there. Let's see how that looks. All around these sort of darker areas. There we go. That's looking beautiful. Let's have a quick look if we do a before and after. So that's the unedited version over there, and then our edit on the right hand side. And let's have a look then how Stefan edited his version. So there's Stefan's edit. Love it and really enjoy the high key kind of images. As I mentioned, maybe just the grass here, maybe get rid of that just to create more emphasis on the face. And then that's the version that I did. So a little bit darker, a little bit more contrast in the face, but both work really, really well. So well done, Stefan. Great image. Go give Stefan a follow down at the bottom here. That's his Instagram handle. Got some great images. And like I mentioned, guys, this is the Jpeg, was shot in Jpeg. I would really encourage you guys to shoot RAW. If you have software material to edit it or to edit your images, then rather use that to its full capability and maybe be a little bit more selective in what you photograph. Maybe one more edit that I would like to do, just having a look at this image quickly, is just to lift some of these whites in the eyes. So we're going to go to our adjustment brush again. So it just caught my eyes now. I just want to try and bring a little bit more life in these eyes. Okay, right about there. And again, you don't want to go too aggressive with that and go that sort of route. Just a slight sort of lifting the exposure, just to bring a bit more life into the eyes. I think that looks great. So there's the final product. You see, there's the before and after. I think that's a super image. So guys, if you would like to send your images through and be featured in one of the episodes, then please feel free to send me an email with your raw image as well as your JPEG version, your edited version. And thank you so much for all your engagement. Really looking forward to this series, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun. Until next week, cheers. Have a good one.